So you're working again with Anders Thomas Jensen, a longtime friend and collaborator. And how did he pitch Riders of Justice to you? It's a blend of a lot of different genres here that work
Yeah.
really well together. What was his explanation of the story and the character to you?
Well, he pitched the idea of the story in general, and then he sold it to me as a bastard child between his own films and the films he's writing for Susanne Bier. So there's two people in Thomas. There's the writer Thomas that writes very heartbreaking and precise dramas, realistic dramas for other people. And then there is the director, Anders Thomas, that is making his complete own animal, which is always, as you have seen before, this universe wrapped in insanity in order for him to get away with talking about big subjects as death and God and Satan and destiny.
Let's talk about the character you play, Markus. In action movies, the sort of stoic hero is often lauded and praised for just being direct and violent. But here, Markus's violence is really representative of larger issues where he can't connect to other people emotionally. Can you talk a little bit about what drew you to that character?
Well, yeah, I guess you're right in a sense. Some kind of action films would go down that path. Well, I think that we're dealing obviously with a PTSD kind of guy who's he's abroad. He's been there for a while. He's even lying to his family that they want him to, renegotiate his contract, so he has to stay there over Christmas. So he's obviously a man who has a hard time spending time with normality. So he's a man who has to go home and pick up the pieces of a broken life for his daughter, which is obviously the worst combination you can imagine. And so we see how he deals with that. Sometimes we would wish him not to say anything, but when he does say stuff, it is not it's not helpful for anyone.
Yeah. He also has a very unique look, at least from a Mads Mikkelsen standpoint, of the very short cropped hair and the big beard and stuff like that. What was that something that you worked on, that how you thought he would look, or what were the discussions about with presenting Markus?
I knew that a lot of people who are stationed in war zones tend to uniform themselves in their looks when it comes to beard and hair as well. Often it's a mirror of their enemy. I don't know exactly what that makes them fall into some kind of comfort zone, but it's a fact. And so yeah, we went with that look because also, if he had been younger, we might have done something else. But when you're his age, that's a very stern and firm look. That kind of oozes some kind of authority there. So we went down that path. Yeah, of course, he stays like that the rest of the film. Yeah.
When it comes to action scenes for you, is it sort of old hat? Is it sort of your accomplished dancer life help you in that regard?
It's a bit of everything. I think the dancer, maybe for the timing of things, the dancer comes in handy. I would say the gymnast come in even more handy when it's about falling, rolling, doing things that looks as if you hurt yourself, and you can actually repeat it more than once without hurting yourself. So I think that's a gymnast in me. But every stunt is different, you can also have a man who's just ballistic. It doesn't care. He's like a bulldozer. And this character, we wanted to be very precise, very, very professional in the way he carried his gun. It was kind of a devastating blow to me when I got together with one of the special op guys who taught me how to carry the gun like that. Because everything we've ever seen until 5 years ago is so cool. They're like on the side when they're sniping around like that. And they changed that. So 5 years ago, it's in front of them. They're not even touching it. And they look as if they their pants, right? That's the way they walk. It's like a stealth way of walking. And I was like, oh, Jesus, why didn't we make this film 5 years ago so we could do the cool stuff? So we had to listen to the pros. It keeps changing what's working for these soldiers.
Otto and Leonard and Emmentaler sort of enter into his life in a way that he seems to need at that moment, and maybe they need, but instead of being their leader or their commander or what he's used to being, perhaps, he sort of joins into this really unique family unexpectedly. Yeah. Can you talk about how he fits into that dynamic?
Yeah, it's a strange fit, and it was a fit that was the struggle on a script level as well. This was the one we talked about a lot. How could we morph these two worlds into one film? As I said before, I belong to the Susan Beer world. The script writer Anders Thomas made a character that could fit into that world together with his daughter, and then the other guy belongs to what Anders Thomas's films normally wrap themselves inside. So this bridge was very hugely important to us, and we talked. We changed a little, but then after a while shooting, we realized that my character is as insane as the other guys, just in a different way, and that might just, if we are lucky, be bridging off. So yes, when we meet him, he's obviously digging a hole that is way too big for himself. He's of no help to anyone and no help for himself. But he's also ready at this point to put a lid on it. That was it. Destiny had spoken. Life moves on. That was his approach. And then obviously, so these three guys turns up and offers him a explanation to what happened, and it offers him something he can hit, something he can get his frustration out on. So he's a man of action, and for him, that's the way to solve his own problems, is to, when you're in a situation when somebody's taking away from you like that, you look around desperately to see who is to blame, and he can't find anyone. But all of a sudden, he gets a chance to point his fingers at someone.